Hi, so today we are going to go over the new order to invoice process for Boeing. We now have a special catering menu just for them with special pricing. And due to their needs, we have created a new process to make sure that we can provide them the receipts of their order in a timely manner. So we're going to start this process now. We have an order that came through the website. This is order number 1491. This is an email generated by the website, same as always. And as you can see, it's from the Boeing company. The person's email has Boeing at the end, which tells us that we need to use the Boeing customer in QuickBooks. So this is the order we're going to be using as our example today. And this is a real live order that I'm actually filling out right now. Let's log into QuickBooks and take a look. If we go into QuickBooks under Invoicing and Customers, you will see that underneath the Boeing customer, the original one, we have 7 sub-customers. Each have a unique tail number, and each of these sub-customers also have a pre-saved credit card associated with this tail number. And this is what's going to make it really easy for them in their billing process. So for this order, 1491, the tail number we are using today is N836BA. And as you can see, when you click into here, there are no previous transactions, and we're going to change that right now. So if you click New Transaction in the top right corner, we're going to scroll down to Sales Receipt, not an invoice. And what is the difference between a sales receipt and an invoice? Very minute changes. The biggest thing is that if you look at the format, you have down here the ability to process the pre-saved credit card when you save this sales receipt. Now, because you're maybe a little bit new at this, it's always a safe idea to unclick that box. That way you can fill this out like a regular invoice, click save, and you won't worry about processing the credit card too early. I know sometimes when I'm doing an invoice and there's many items, I might click save as I go along so that if something happens, I don't lose all of my work. But if you do that with a sales receipt and you don't click that button, you will process the credit card and you will charge them before you complete your sales receipt. So this is a safe way to make sure you can finish everything and make sure it's all ready to go before you charge the credit card. So we're going to fill this in as normal. I'm going to take the email from the order form and I'm going to simply copy and paste it as the first email in this box. We do not want to delete any of the other emails because they also need a copy of this receipt. And so all you need to do is copy paste, add a comma and a space, and you're good to go. We're going to ignore all the shipping information and move down to the customer PL, which is always the tail number listed on the order form. It's a little redundant because it's also here in the customer name, but we always want to make sure that we are following our processes. And it makes it easier to search for this later. I'm going to add the service date, which is always the full date and the time of delivery. And then the order number is 1491. Okay, and then the reference number. The reference number is always going to be the number of the document you are creating in QuickBooks, which is a sales receipt. And it's also going to be the order number if there is one. So if this was an invoice, I would type INV and then the invoice number 7198. But this is not an invoice, this is a sales receipt. So obviously we're going to put SR and then 7198. And then we're going to add ORD for order and then 1491. This just helps the search feature when you're in QuickBooks and you need to quickly find an invoice. Maybe there's a question about it or you need to resend it. If always in the top corner, there's a search tool. And if you fill out this information correctly, you should be able to pull this up based on either the order number or the sales receipt. That's also why we have this field here. It's a little redundant, but it's very necessary to make sure that when you search for this order, you see all related transactions for that order. So the service date is for tomorrow. Now I'm going to start adding all the items from the order. The first is a Greek tomato salad. Now usually when we start typing, there's only one option, but as we add other clients with special menu prices, that may change. So you always want to make sure that whatever item you're selecting, it needs to have the correct category and subcategory underneath it. So we are dealing with Boeing here. So all of the items should have Boeing in front of it, unless it's just something a la carte that's not on their special menu. But you always want to check and see if there's something with their category, because that means we have special pricing that we negotiated with them and we want to honor that. So the next item is a grilled halibut. I'm going to search for halibut here. And as you can see, there's only 2 items, the a la carte item and then the item on the Boeing list. So that's the one we're going to select. And we have a few more here. We have big notchi. I'm gonna do that. And then I'm gonna add some more lines here. Now we have quite a few Caesar salad options. So for Boeing, I combined everything into one. There's only one gourmet Caesar entree. So if you select it, you will see the other protein options in the description. That way I didn't have to create one for each one, which would have really added a lot of extra items when you're trying to search for it. So this customer asked for roasted salmon with their Caesars. So all you have to do is look at the description, see what the price is to add roasted salmon, and change the rate right there. Now, if they ask for a protein that is not here, of course, you're always going to be accommodating and give them what they ask for. So just charge them for a similar protein. If they ask for white fish, for example, you would charge them for, the $30, which is similar to salmon. It's not going to be exact all the time, but it's best to stick to something that they've already agreed to or something similar. Okay, and then next they ask for brownies. So I'm going to search for brownies here. Let's see, here we go. Signature chocolate chip brownie for Boeing. I'm going to select that, and then they asked for 4, so I'm going to change the quantity. And the last thing they asked for was roasted asparagus, which is not on the Boeing menu. It's an a la carte item, which is perfectly okay. So we're not going to change the rate because it's not one of the negotiated items. And I'm going to just copy and paste this service date field all the way down. And the last thing I'm going to add is the delivery fee. This is going to BFI. So for Boeing, they have their own delivery fees. So make sure you're not selecting the regular delivery fee. There's one specifically for Boeing, for all of the airports that we service. Now, as you can see, it is a discounted rate as well. So now that I filled out all the information, I'm just going to go double check and make sure all the quantities are correct. It should all be 1 except for the brownies, which should be 4, and it looks good. The service dates are all filled in. And so now we can attach the order. I've already printed the order as a PDF, and I'm just going to drag and drop it here and click the attach to email. If you need to see, if you want to double check what this document is that's going to be attached to your email, all you have to do is click on it and it'll show you exactly the order that we just filled in. And that's always good. So now that it's attached, I'm gonna come back up here and I'm gonna click process credit card. I've already triple checked my order to make the sales receipt to make sure it matches the order. I've attached the order and I've added the email of the person submitting the order. And now I believe we are all set to simply save and send. I've clicked process credit card, which is the pre-saved credit card. So you don't have to worry about entering any information. This is the one that's pre-approved by our client to use. And now I'm going to click save and send. Now, if you notice in the email window, the subject is sales receipt from With Style Catering. It shows the Boeing tail number and it shows you this is a sub customer. That's why it's 2 Boeings back to back there, because this is the parent customer and then this is the sub customer. And now you can see the actual sales receipt that we are sending to them. Notice the balance due is 0 because we charged that credit card. And if you look closely, you will be able to see the payment method, which shows the credit card, the last 4 digits, so that they can verify that that's the correct one. All of the information that we need to track this order has been processed at the top, and now we can send and close. And there it is. And as you can see, the status is paid because we processed the credit card in the document, which is different from our original process of create the invoice, send it, and then come back and click receive payment over here, right? So this is a lot easier. The only thing is you have to make sure that you triple check the document and that you're very sure what you have in the order before you do this, because otherwise we will have to go into the document. You can see the transaction has been processed now. You can click this and you can actually see the transaction receipt. And if they ask for another receipt for the transaction, you can always print this off as well to show if they need more detailed information. And if you need to refund it, you have a short window to do that, but we're going to cover that in another video. So for now, just try to make sure that you have everything correct. And if they actually email with additions after you do this part, just create a new sales receipt. Add the order number again, add the reference number exactly the same again. The sales receipt number will be different, but because it will have the same order number, we will know that there was an addition. And you can even type that down here in the box if you want to, that this is an addition to the first order, and just charge the credit card again. All right, and so that is the complete tutorial about how to process a sales receipt for Boeing. And then the last step is to make sure that we always go to the email and print off a copy of the sales receipt and add it to the order when we deliver it. You can also print from here by simply clicking the print button, and you have other options in there. But if you click print, it'll take you to a new page where you can print straight from the computer, as always. And so the last step after we do any transaction is to come into the order schedule. This is the one for July through September, and record the transaction here so that we know it was done. This helps us keep track of what's been invoiced and what we have to look forward to moving ahead. So as you can see, I found the date where this is the service date. This is where the day that the food will be delivered. And you'll see the time, the company name, and tail number, the order number, and the document number. In this case, I put SR in front of the number because this is a sales receipt and not just a regular invoice. There will not be an invoice with this 7198 document number though, so there will not be any duplicates, but it's always good just to put SR just to avoid confusion. So yeah, this is always going to be the last step so that we know what has been done and what we have to do. It's basically our checklist. And that will conclude the entire process from beginning to end. Thank you.